Sweet Christmas.
Shout out to my birds.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Che.
And this is Corey.
And this is the Next Time On podcast, a podcast where two lifelong friends discuss all things amazing and all things fetid in popular culture. It'd be like if Magneto and Professor X, instead of being frenemies with a bloodlust, were real enemies with a podcast. Is that fair, Corey?
That's fair. Keep your friends close and record podcasts with your enemies.
To be exact, sort of, 250 episodes of a podcast.
Jesus Christ.
If you decided to miss the title of this episode, this is the episode 250 special of the Next Time On podcast. It has survived an entire presidential term.
Yes, it has.
I think actually technically we've spanned 3 presidents at this point.
Is that true?
We started before the election, the 2016
Jesus,
election.
no, you're very correct. No, and like this now we've operated in 2 separate decades. What else? We've lost our minds around episode 20.
Although there's not a lot of evidence that we really were sane before this endeavor.
No. I feel bad for anybody who ever went back and like started at number 1. Like I would never be like, no, don't start from the beginning. Just
no. I mean, it's not a story-driven podcast.
You're gonna miss the overarching plot that I've been dropping hints on. This is finally episode 250, where we can finally get the big reveal on who killed the third co-host.
There was a third co-host. I didn't.
There was. He didn't make it past episode 0.
Didn't make it past the pilot.
It was me. It was me. I killed him.
I mean, that makes sense, seeing as I didn't know he existed. So, should I be worried then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Well, today's episode special is special episode. You know what I meant. We are going to be talking about the best performances in superhero movies ever, because we love superhero movies.
Yeah, and like the way that we're kind of framing this, I suppose, it's not necessarily being like this person was the best actor in it, but more of like this person like was just so good they either like owned the role or they were just very good in their like comic book to screen presence. Like it's like less about like being like, oh, this person just was that character in a sense.
Also important to remember, this is not best movies. We've already done the best rankings of all the best movies. Go back and check out that episode. There are going to be some performances in here in not so great movies, but great performances. Most of them are in great movies too. I think that's kind of the nature of acting. Usually there's not a bunch of bad performances in good movies, but and vice versa. But every once in a while you get a gem in a dung pile. So before we jump into it, of course, the points of business as usual. Please go rate us 5 stars. We're everywhere. You can rate us now on Spotify if you're listening to us on Spotify at the moment. Click that 5 stars. Helps us out.
It's really easy, guys. It's really easy. I'm gonna do it right now.
Corey's gonna do it right now. Although,
I am.
How easy could it have been since Corey himself co-hosted the podcast and waited like a month to do it?
I forgot that you could rate things on Spotify now.
I think it's been about a month now. See, I don't even use Spotify, so I have a good excuse.
I already rated it, guys. Don't worry about it.
You can also catch us at Next Time On Pod on all your social media platforms, and you can find our archived writing, all of our past and future podcasts, all 250 of them are on nexttimeon.net. And last but not least, newest addition to the Linktree family is our YouTube channel. Link in the description. Go over there, like and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube,
hi.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
I'm sorry for how tired I look.
And as we are in the new year, the end of the the big list weeks and everything, we will be bringing back Book Club and Curse of the Rewatch. So our all good book club for this week will be visiting one of our number 1 comics from last year. If you guys listen to that episode, it's gonna be Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin. We'll be doing that in a couple weeks. So if you're reading along, go pick that up.
I know we always like say like you should definitely buy this book to read along, but this was my favorite comic book of last year.
Corey's
the
number
writing
1.
is Yeah, the writing's stellar, and the art is just, it's just like it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just great to look at. I would highly recommend picking up that book to listen along with that episode when it comes out.
It's gonna be, I think it'll be a good discussion, and just a smaller investment than my number one, which is a like 30-pound book.
Yeah, no, I was.
We might do one day. We might do
one day. And I was like, I'll read this book. I'm like, no, I'm gonna reread Moon Knight now because I have issues.
Corey also refuses to watch Euphoria, but that's a different conversation.
I don't like children.
They're not, Corey. They're not children.
Whatever. I don't want to see teens angst and drugs.
Also, they're not. I mean, I know they're technically supposed to be teens, but let's be honest, they're not. Our curse of the rewatch for this month, which I've honestly been trying to figure out when we could fit it in for a while now, is going to be Rest in Peace to the Great Man, the John Singleton classic. And I use the word classic not ironically, Four Brothers.
Yes.
This movie, I loved as a kid. I think we both loved it as a kid.
Have you actually watched this before, like recently?
Not that recently, but since 2005, I have gone. It's not good.
Yeah, this is 100%. Like I don't think I've seen this movie in the last 12 years. I think
starring actually by today's standard, a truly insane cast: Mark Wahlberg, Garrett Hedlund, Tyrese Gibson, Sofia Vergara, Andre 3000, Chitwell Ejiofor, Terrence Howard, Taraji P. Henderson.
What the fuck was this movie?
And Josh Charles. I mean, it is a truly... If you tried to make this movie today, this would be like a blockbuster. These are all household names at this point. And Garrett Hedlund.
Jay, this was a blockbuster.
It wasn't a blockbuster.
Yes, it was.
This movie made $92 million in the box office. That's not actually a blockbuster.
I mean, how much was the budget, though? I feel like it was like not that much.
I feel like Marky Mark was probably demanding a good amount.
You know, I don't like that movie for one fact, that it made me like Mark Wahlberg. And then as I got older in life, I'm like, oh no, this guy sucks.
Yeah, he's not a great dude, is he?
No, he's a real bad dude. He's real bad. And then the Uncharted movie looks much worse because of him.
Uncharted. I thought you said
Uncharted.
And I don't know what I thought you said, but I didn't think you said Uncharted.
No. Yeah, no, that's
I'm still excited for it. I like Tom Holland.
I like Tom Holland.
I honestly didn't know until you just said that Mark Wahlberg was in the Uncharted movie.
Yeah, he's playing like the Sully character. I don't know if you ever played the games. They're good.
No.
Good games.
Yeah.
Poor casting choice.
It's a video game movie. It's going to be
stupid.
bad. They're all there.
Yeah, I know. It sucks that the best video game movie ever made was... Wait, did we have this conversation?
Detective Pikachu is the best video game movie.
Well, Sonic the Hedgehog, but we could talk about that later.
I still haven't seen Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
So we were in, this is a tangent, but in celebration of our 250th episode, I think we should just do only tangents this episode.
Let's fucking go.
We were in, I don't remember what movie, it must have been Spider-Man. No, because I think it was just me and my mom. Either way, me and my mom were in a movie, and the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer comes on, and she leaned over to me and goes, "Isn't that Corey's favorite movie?" I was like, no, but I mean, yes.
Sometimes I can't tell where my the bits that I do start and where I end.
That's why I was that's why it was hard to explain to her. I was like, yes, I know he's probably said that exact sentence on the podcast multiple times, but it isn't really his favorite movie of all time.
My this entire podcast has been very much two truths and a lie whenever I open my mouth.
It's mostly three lies. I don't know why you're pretending.
Mostly three lies. That sincerely sucks. That was I hate that someone's like, Sonic the Hedgehog, like, Corey. I'm like, no. This is my nightmare.
Listen, we've all got our things. You love Sonic the Hedgehog. I hate Hamilton and the kids.
Let's say like. Let's not say love. I said like.
What do you mean? It's your favorite movie.
I don't care. I will die. I'm sorry, guys. I'm very tired today. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm dying, and I apologize. But whoever was in charge of casting, or at least got the contracts to go through for Idris Elba to be playing Knuckles, I want to just...
Is that a real thing?
That's a real thing that's happening.
Okay.
And I'm like, what were the sit down? He's like, okay, so Idris, got a new role for you.
I know you just finished playing a badass black cowboy in the Midwest, like a bandit. Would you like to be a video game character from the Sonic series?
So to be Sonic, no. You're gonna be the Echidna, the red dreadlocked Echidna.
I mean, I guess the good news is it's officially canon that Knuckles is black, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he had dreadlocks and his shoes were yellow and green. I always thought he was gonna be Jamaican until he opened up his mouth. I'm not
Imagine
joking.
if Knuckles was Jamaican in the video game. Imagine. Actually, you know what? I think we wouldn't have COVID today. I think we would have solved all of the world's problems if Knuckles was just a Jamaican man. Played by one of the motherfuckers from, like, Cool Runnings.
Oh, I will love that. Oh, I want that. Oh, shit. Let's get into it.
Should we do? All right, we should do the actual podcast now. All right. Well.
All right, so let's get off this. We're doing a top 15 list for this. So just from the get-go, guys, if we didn't mention one of your favorites, and you're like, you didn't make this list, you're wrong. You don't have a podcast. We have a platform, and you don't.
And also, it was surprisingly difficult. This was originally going to be a top 10. And then when we finished narrowing it down to 10, we were like, it doesn't really feel right.
It didn't feel right, no.
So we expanded it to 15. And even still, there are some performances left off this list that I am a big fan of. So
yeah, no, it's like, this is more, I mean, honestly, it's a testament to people that we actually ended up picking.
Yeah.
So like, let's want to start number 15. We can just, with the one I pretty much pushed into this.
Well, hold on. I don't want to become the guy that doesn't like this performance. It's just, if I'm picking 15, he's not making my list. But, of course, the name is, and you want to just give it to the people, Corey?
Sure. Well, we got Hugh Jackson as Wolverine for his, like, damn near 20 years of performance.
I mean, when I was going back through this list, I forgot how many. It's not just like he's in 3 X-Men movies, and then
the 3 originals,
and then he's in all but one of the new ones, right? As like a cameo at least.
He wasn't in No, he was in Apocalypse. He wasn't in Dark Phoenix. He wasn't in the most recent one.
And then he has 3 Wolverine movies.
Yes, he does have 3 Wolverine movies, which is basically 1.5 good movie in out of those 3 movies. One horrible, one real
horrible,
bad.
One that I think is only people thought was good in comparison to how bad Origins was.
Well,
and
the
then
ending
Logan
of it
is good.
The ending of fucking the Wolverine is just such a. It just doesn't make sense. You go from this cool like ninja shit, then at the very end, it's like giant robot suit from the guy who he saved in World War II. Like weird decisions and plot points the entire time.
And that was pretty much peak terrible third acts of superhero movies, though. So it was kind of on brand in a way for it to be that bad, but it was like shockingly stupid. I remember. I was like,
I had a pretty solid time.
What's going on in this movie now?
Exactly. I was like, listen, you have Wolverine with a samurai sword. I'm okay. I'm here for this. Why is he in a giant robot suit?
Well,
why we need that?
I love that scene. That might have one of my favorite, if not my favorite, action pieces from any X-Men movie, and that is the train sequence.
The train scene was really
sick.
Good. Yeah, the train scene is like just really well directed. It's just all around awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of want to rewatch the Wolverine now.
I
them.
can't co-sign that. I mean, I was going to agree with you for a second, and then I realized what I was saying. I just simply cannot get on board with that. But
I found it something I've done recently is like I'll get to a point in a movie I'm like, this is going to start sucking now. That first half was really good though, so I'm just going to stop watching this and do something better with my day.
I have a real problem where like if I start a movie, I gotta finish it.
That's very fair, but sometimes they just suck, and I have to walk away.
Oh no, absolutely. So what else should we say about?
No,
CJ?
I mean like,
he's the longest, I think even longer tenure just year wise than Robert Downey Jr., who I think is probably second.
I think Robert Downey Jr. did like, I guess about 10 years, 2008 to like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
I think Hugh Jackman did it from the first 2000 to like 2016, 2017, just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, Logan's 2017.
I mean, he's like the definitive like, well, I mean like the new wave of all those superhero movies. He's like he's been the one like constant in a sense.
Well, also he's sort of. I mean, if you go back and if you did some like sadistic marathon where you just watched all of the Hugh Jackman movies, you sort of see the trajectory of superhero movies in a way, like. X-Men 1, which we've talked about on this podcast, has not aged really well because it sort of feels like what superhero movies felt like at the time, fairly. Yeah. And then now, of course, you go all the way through, and then Logan, this gritty, R-rated, character study is kind of what superhero movies are becoming today. They're not all gritty, but they're more adult in a way, and they're willing to take more risks.
That's a very interesting way to put it. I never really thought about it that way. You're right. Like he started off in like, this is when they were like afraid to be superheroes. Yeah. Like they were like, they're like a superhero team, but like, let's not make them wear weird stuff. We're going to put everybody in leather. But then like, as time's gone on, we were like, we can put people in silly outfits and be fine with it because we're all adults here and it's fine. Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, no, I mean, I've always at least, like, he's always been my favorite part of the movies, which is why I kind of wanted to include him on this list. And I did think Logan was a very, like, good send-off for his character.
I was going to say it's up there, but I'll just pose the question. Is it the best final superhero movie performance to date?
Like, I'm going out kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the competition is Endgame for Downey.
Chris and
I would
Evans.
say I still think the Evans end for Captain America is. I like it in a sense, but I also think it's not my favorite. The Iron Man ending is kind of perfect.
The Iron Man ending's perfect, and like it's kind of Cap getting his happy ending. Yeah. But we can talk about that definitely as it goes on. But I do think like as a final send off, and I think it also does help that the movie was just about him, and he got to work off of Patrick Stewart, so it just kind of made things in like the little girl who's just a fantastic actress. I can't remember her name right now. Yeah. Shout out, I do love her in Dark Materials, but.
That's right. It is the same girl.
It's the same girl.
I honestly I did not make the connection until right now.
I just like love the fact that like over the 20 years they had to like actively make Hugh Jackman look older because he just refused to age for the last it's crazy. He just looks the fucking same.
Yeah.
Although money, man.
There is the part in Days of Future Past where they send him back and there is some like some de-aging going on there pretty clearly.
A little bit. Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, he still is like he recently played a character in a movie. The entire point of the character is like he's this megalomaniacal sociopath who only cares about his appearance and is like obsessed with de-aging himself and stuff. And then of course they were like, who should we cast? ageless Australian Hugh Jackman.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I mean, I think, like I said, if it was just a solo list and I was being like objective about this, I wouldn't have had Hugh Jackman on here. But that's not because I don't think he's a great performance. I think obviously Wolverine, and we've just said like I think this list would have felt weird without his presence out there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's the original in a lot.
Yeah, it's like honestly, I mean, like he was like the beginning of like superhero movies again, and he like was amazing at it. Like we kind of talked about like Spider-Man. Like we like the movies, but I don't think either of us really were ever like Tobey Maguire is great. Yeah. We're loving this because of Tobey Maguire. But yeah, all right. We got a long list, so let's keep it moving. Yeah. Number 14. You want to introduce us?
Well, number 14. Also an X-Men.
X-Man.
In the X-Men movies.
He is a man.
Is the one and only Michael Fassbender.
I thought you were about to say Magneto, because I'm like, that's also a lot.
No, there's two Magnetos. The one and only Michael Fassbender. And just to be clear, for anybody who's wondering, this is for his performance as Magneto, not as sick flautist from the the Alien movies.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about those.
We play your flute.
Prometheus was awesome. The one after that got fucking weird, and I did not like it.
I don't even know if I get on board with Prometheus was awesome. I like Prometheus.
I'm sorry. No, I hate Prometheus. His performance in Prometheus was awesome.
I think his performance in all the movies are awesome. It was just Ridley Scott is like
making out with himself. He was like making out.
Really uncomfortable for everybody.
He like made out with himself, right? Do I like misremember that?
He said made out. I'm pretty sure he fucked himself. So.
Loki all over again. Oh fuck. Shit. Oh shit. I just remembered something.
Okay, well, I'll be honest. I did remember. I mean, I guess we're spoiling it a little bit. Anybody who's even paying a little bit of attention will just realize that Corey realized Tom Hiddleston is not on our list. I think fairly. I really love Tom Hiddleston as like as an actor. I think Tom Hiddleston's amazing. I think his character as Loki until the show is like fun, but not very.
You're very correct. I think it's more just like I know Tom Hiddleston's a very good actor, but I think if we probably would have thought about it more, you're right. He probably wouldn't have made this list.
Yeah.
But I think Michael Fassbender, playing, like, I never really thought like a young Magneto role would like make sense. I kind of was always like genuinely confused why they went like the first class route with things.
I remember when First Class was announced, I was excited but confused.
I think that was the first superhero movie. I was like, I didn't clock it. I remember going like after like graduation of high school, and I remember going there and I'm like, oh, I forgot this movie even existed. I didn't even see a fucking trailer for it, which was very cool, but I just like, I don't know what's happening. Kevin Bacon's in this movie, but I'm enjoying myself. Oh no, they killed the only black guy in the movie. That's pretty weird.
They killed him in a way that just like didn't make any sense.
It made literally zero sense, and I don't understand why he did that. Made that directorial choice. But I had no idea who Michael Fassbender was before this. I think this probably was my first film seeing him in, and he blew it out of the water, honestly.
Yeah. And it's a, I don't think it's talked about enough how challenging that role is for a lot of reasons. Not because Magneto is just one of the most complex characters we have in the Marvel Universe, period. I would say we've made the comparison that he's probably Marvel's only answer, if not a real answer, to the Joker. He's probably been the most written villain and the most interesting, I would say, on paper.
Well, I mean that's why I like Magneto so much, because at least since I've been reading comic books, he's kind of just been like a good guy.
Yeah.
And I've always like kind of liked that aspect where it's like, you're crazy as shit and you definitely killed a lot of people, but you're making a lot of excellent points and you're not doing as much murdering anymore.
Right.
Which I always kind of felt like that was like the natural progression. If any villain should end up being a hero, I always kind of felt like it was Magneto.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially because, and this will come up again on the podcast later, the best villains in comic book movies have always been villains that have, they're not going about it the right way, but have a point. And of course, Magneto is a character in a lot of ways born of the Holocaust, and we see that in the first original trilogy. We see him struggling with what, and there are not subtle hints to it in the obviously original X-Men trilogy with Ian McKellen's characterization of Magneto, but the First Class, I don't even consider the other two movies, just First Class and Days of Future Past is really about that Magneto character struggling with what it is like, sort of wrestling with a society that let something like that happen. And if you have the power to make sure it never ever happens to you again,
and you're also seeing it, and you're also seeing it actively happen
right
to another like community that you're a part of, and seeing this person who, like, I mean, that's why I think Professor X is such a good foil to him, where it's like this person who's always like, you pretty much had the best easiest going of life with your mutant powers and all this stuff, like you're privileged basically, and Magneto is just very much like the opposite end of things. Like, you want to go through things with being peaceful and all the other good things, but I think Magneto always makes a really good, like, makes a lot of good points, and I think Fassbender really did bring that across, and like all the emotion that like he like. It was really funny at the end of the Fox X-Men run, where the movies were starting to run out of steam. But I always kind of appreciated that Michael Fassbender somehow always got like 20 minutes to himself in those films.
Yeah. And
sometimes they would just write him into it. It would make he didn't have to be there. They could have ignored him.
Remember when he was on like what was it, a commune, and they
he had like a commune,
they had to go get him from the commune.
Yeah, like they forced like Sophie Turner to go get him from the commune. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore, and then. Maybe that was just kind of more, and they also killed Mystique that movie. That was funny. They were just like, that was fucking funny. They just killed her ass.
I have to say, for a lot of ways for me, Michael Fassbender is the German Will Smith, where he has all of the talent, and he's basically always good in movies. Stick with me here, Corey. Come on, I'm making a good point.
I'm sorry. That's just such a sentence.
But
could I get that on a T-shirt?
He routinely makes, I would say, interesting career decisions as far as the movies that he's in. He has been, for an actor as talented as he is, and I think as in demand by really talented filmmakers, has made some shit over the years. I mean. Just recently, he was in this movie, The Snowman, which is unfucking watchable.
Oh, I forgot about The Snowman. Yeah, I remember hearing about The Snowman. Oh, man.
He's so good in it, and yet... And also, like, Rebecca Ferguson's in it, J.K. Simmons. A lot of great actors. And boy, is it terrible. And I just don't know what that script
You're not excited.
Look like.
You're not excited to see him in the upcoming Kung Fury 2?
I don't know what Kung Fury 1 is. What's Kung Fury?
Oh, my friend, we will talk about that after the podcast.
What's Kung Fury?
One of the greatest short films ever made, and I will talk about it. This is not the podcast for Kung Fury. There is a podcast for Kung Fury in the future.
Either way. So my other point about the Fassbender Magneto character, before we get too distracted by Kung Fury, is not just that character Magneto is really complex and fascinating, is that being able to bridge the gap between his performance and McKellen's performance that came before it, but is obviously canonically in the future, is, I think, a very challenging role for an actor, because you can't make the character your own, because there is this template before you. And I think Fassbender, as much as I love James McAvoy, I never really was like, this guy's going to become Patrick Stewart in the future.
Yeah, it never really felt like that, honestly. And I did like him playing a young Charles, but it didn't really feel like the Patrick Stewart. That's another name, honestly, that was really sad I couldn't get on this list.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely, as good James McAvoy was, he felt like he was definitely playing his own character, which I guess did make sense for Charles as a character.
Yeah.
But the anger that like Fassbender had, you can just kind of slowly see the evolution.
Yeah.
And you like believe that at the end of the day, like, oh, he's gonna be like the supervillain that we saw him become and what was in the first X-Men movie. I don't even want to reference the third X-Men movie because that movie fucking sucks.
I don't even think it's an accident. I think those first two, First Class and Days of Future Past, are Magneto movies.
Why are they so? That's the fucking weird thing with the X-Men, like what X-Men series is. The first two movies in each good, well, in both the runs or like at least the tries in it were good, and then afterwards they get really shitty.
I think third movies are always hard, though. I mean, even think about even the actually good superhero trilogies, and I hope we don't see this with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but I'm just very worried that we're not going to get
we got a good Spider-Man. We had a good Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah, but also there's going to be like 11 more movies, so
it
doesn't
shut
really
up.
count.
Listen, we got those 3. Yeah, because Captain America didn't have 3 movies. Thor definitely didn't have 3 movies.
We're getting
Iron Man 2 is not good.
Iron Man 2 is not good, but I also think, besides the fact that Iron Man 2 is good if you just take Mickey Rourke and remove him entirely from the movie. But I think as a film, as like a plot and a premise, the third one's probably the worst. It's obviously a better movie than 2, but that's because I
like Shane Black though,
movie.
and I'm very forgiving of Shane Black's his general vibe. So
I agree with you, except for that Shane Black also is the man that brought us.
I forgot about that. The new Predator.
The Predator movie, which it's just unwatchable.
I've never seen it, so I can't even speak to it. But it just sounds so confusing to me. Like the director, like of The Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and all these other movies made something that unwatchable this late in his career.
Yeah, I mean,
I heard about the weaponized autism. That's all I needed to know. That I will never watch that.
It's not good.
No.
I don't know if it's Shane Black's fault that movie was as bad as it was. It feels like a lot of studio notes really destroyed that film from within. But I mean, it's still not a good movie, so I don't really know what else to say about it.
That's very fair, Jay.
Should we move on, Corey, to number 13 on our list?
I would love to. Number 13 is Ron Perlman as Hellboy.
I think a performance that a lot of people literally forgot existed.
I think so too. He only had 2 movies. And he did some cartoon movies, but the 2 movies, held by Guillermo del Toro, were fucking great.
Yeah.
That was it was such like a weird, cool vibe that I was like so happy that was like allowed to come into existence. It just sucks that he never really had to finish the story.
Yeah, it also is I think the reboot is one of my most disappointing moves by a movie studio. Like, why not bring back Ron Perlman?
Exactly. I don't understand.
Anybody involved with the original. Like, these movies are so fun. I went back and rewatched the first one in preparation.
I'm sure you could probably talk Guillermo into like doing another one. I'm sure he loved that genre. I mean, unfortunately, we never got to see Justice League Dark, but I mean, Blade 2 and like this whole like his very big vibe for this were just so good.
Yeah. Do you think you could get Oscar-winning Guillermo del Toro now to do it? I mean, I know previously he was into these kind of movies, but
he's like still like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I didn't see Nightmare Alley, but like, was that going for Oscars?
I think so.
You think so? Okay,
yeah.
I
don't think it's going to get any for a couple different reasons, but I do think it's an Oscar. I mean, think of the cast that was in it: Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett, Francis McDormand. I'm losing my mind. Tony Collette, not Francis McDormand. Sorry. Yeah, I think it was trying to go for. I think he's trying to make movies that are both his style, like very fantasy, dark.
Dark fantasy,
but also are now, prestige. I don't think we're gonna get Pacific Rim Guillermo del Toro anytime soon ever again. Which is a bummer because I fucking love Pacific Rim, and as we both said, we fucking love Hellboy. Like Hellboy.
It would be really awesome if Pacific Rim had a sequel. That would be really cool.
Yeah, wonder why they never made a second one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fucking weird. But I think Ron Perlman's the first instance of like seeing a character, and then I didn't read Hellboy before seeing the movie Hellboy, but when I did read the entire run like a year ago, I think, or at least during quarantine. You cannot get the fucking voice out of your head when you read it.
He's probably of the three we've done so far, he's the most comic book accurate of the other performances. It feels like he embodies the performance. And there are also many different versions of Hellboy at this point in the comic book canon because the guy's been writing Hellboy for 25 years or something.
Been writing and drawing it his entire career to the point where he was like, I have to stop because I can't anymore.
But I love the way Perlman is such perfect casting in that maybe it's because I'm not imaginative as many as the people that made as Del Toro or whoever cast it, but I would never have thought Perlman's going to be a great comic book hero, and he's got the wit and the charm down perfect, and then in the action sequences he's big and lumbering in the way that Hellboy is, and then suddenly jumps over a table and shoots somebody.
Yeah. It just works. No, he's just it just works. I want to rewatch Hellboy now. I haven't watched it.
I rewatched the first one last night for this podcast. And
does it hold? It holds up.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, there's some sketchy gender politics, but that
was unfortunately the time. I mean, honestly, unfortunately, this list is very indicative of unfortunate standards set by.
It will surprise no one that's ever seen a comic book movie. There's not a lot of women represented on this list. Unfortunately.
No, unfortunately not. Okay, speaking of number 12, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. That was not intentional. I don't know why
you said speaking of. For a second, I forgot Margot Robbie was number 12, but I was like,
yes.
Yes.
That was not intentional. But yes, no, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Speaking of people who are in mostly bad movies, well, out of the three, I think I would
say Margot Robbie has been in one good movie.
Yeah, I think Birds of Prey is okay.
I'm surprised we differ as much on Birds of Prey as we do, because I think Birds of Prey is really, really bad.
I don't think it was good. I said okay. I watched it and I had fun, Jay. But by halfway through, I think I had a few too many beers.
Yeah. Oh, but either way, this is. I think this is the first instance of. Although I guess Fassbender's been in some bad movies.
But the thing was with Harley Quinn is from the get go, it's oh, she's perfect.
It's just the best. This is such a good cast.
It's she's perfect. And the movie is so bad, but it's just you're perfect as this. Why is Jared Leto here? But whatever, we're gonna ignore that.
I just feel so bad for Robbie that she had to
try work off of that. But it's just no. But I'm saying with her characters that she literally had to deal with so many just bad hands with this character. Suicide Squad being almost unwatchable. It probably is unwatchable. Did we ever do this on the show? I think we did an episode on Suicide Squad.
Yes,
for the show.
Yeah, we did.
It was painful. And Birds of Prey, which isn't great. Shay doesn't like it. I think it's okay. Okay.
I think everything Robbie is doing in that movie is great. The problem is every
saying.
single other human being in it is not good.
And I like that. I mean, I don't think it's an accident. James Gunn was pretty much okay, I want to bring back essentially these three characters.
Yeah.
One of them I'm just going to fucking overhaul entirely and make him likable and then kill him with a Rick Flag. But he just pretty much just gave Margot Robbie her own thing. She had her own little mini movie, and then in the third act, she comes to show up with the team.
Yeah. It is still a bummer to me that James Gunn couldn't figure out a way to get Will Smith back in the movie, but
yeah, I think it was just scheduling conflicts. I think he actually was filming King Richard at the time. I mean,
he better get the fucking Oscar for that for all the stupid decisions he's made over the years.
Jesus Christ. But hey, at least though they didn't just straight up just have Idris Elba just be Deadshot. They made the same character. Let's be honest. But I like that the door's open.
He could come back.
For the possibility.
He could definitely come back.
I'm sure that James Gunn's not done with DC though, especially seeing how good Peacemaker is.
Peacemaker seems to be gaining some steam. Yeah, I would be. So James Gunn done with Marvel, I guess?
No. He is Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, but after Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the Christmas special.
Maybe.
I feel like it would be very weird to have him working simultaneously with both studios.
I think it's just like he'll keep bringing us both money, so we might as well just shut the fuck up and get out of the way.
Yeah,
but I'm assuming he'll probably like. It seems like he's a very like carte blanche with like DC at this moment because of just how Peacemaker is as a concept and show. So I'm sure that he'll just go back to DC and be like, I'm just gonna keep making weird shit with your comic book properties, which I'm very about.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we can get more solo stuff for Robbie done by
that would be lovely.
That would be
good
great. Directors. I mean, I hope we don't do Robbie the way we did Jennifer Lawrence, who I'm never. I won't pretend to be like a big fan of Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique or anything, but
no one was. I don't think she wasn't.
No,
she wasn't
but she got so
Mystique.
sick of being the character by the end that she just like quit being Mystique during a movie.
Really, yeah, that's why they killed her very early on into Dark Phoenix. But yeah, they were just like, I just don't want to be blue anymore, and they were like, but that's kind of like the whole point.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't want it to be. I don't want to be blue anymore. And
I think we both hope that Margot Robbie gets some good movies soon, so that she's not burnt out of being this terrible character on like basically on cooldown.
Well, it seems like she kind of like has a whole like Ryan Reynolds approach to it, where she's like producing it and like she kind of has like all the cards and like it seems like she can do whatever the fuck she wants with the character. And I don't think, and DC also like, I mean, they got a fucking cartoon show. I think Harley Quinn's like their like moneymaker in a sense. If your name's not Batman, honestly, still like Batman adjacent, but whatever.
Oh my god! When I was looking through, I went through like the Wikipedia for all the movies based off of comic books, just to make sure I hadn't missed any performances. I think Batman is like twice as many movies as the next character or comic book.
Like live action, he's had what, like off top of my head, he's like had like 6 or 7 at this point. All the animated movies, like his various cartoons.
The list on Wikipedia did not fit on my screen. I had to scroll to see all of the Batman movies. It's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. And we're getting, I guess, another maybe 3 movies, depending on how this one goes in next month.
Apparently. 3-hour runtime already announced.
Is that movie going to be good, Corey?
I hope so.
Did we blow our load too early and maybe Robert Pattinson would be number 1 on this list? Best Batman ever?
That would be. I would love it. I was genuinely head scratching when his casting choice was like when he was cast.
I love Robert Pattinson.
I like Robert Pattinson too. I was just like, okay, that's a choice that we're doing now. All right.
I think Pattinson is one of the only actors I could buy in any role. I think he is so versatile and also so talented that there's not another actor who I think could both be as good as he was in Tenet and also in The Lighthouse, and like 2 basically entirely different performances in 2 entirely different movies. So I think he'll be good. I'm just worried that movie's not going to be good.
Yeah, I'm worried as well. But like I don't know. I mean, I trust the director, so. Trust the director. Robert Pattinson's good. I mean,
I have mixed feelings on Reeves. I love the Planet of the Apes movies.
I was going to say, he made me interested in monkeys. I don't like monkeys, but he made me interested in monkeys.
He also made the Cloverfield sequels, didn't he?
Which one?
Did he make the Netflix one?
Did he? Did he do Cloverfield?
Oh, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. It's on his IMDb because it's based on his character. My apologies. He did not direct it, so that's why.
There's only one bad Cloverfield. Let's put that out there, though.
I don't like the first one either. But
you like the first one?
No.
I like the first one.
I love
10 Cloverfield Lane. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to number 11 before we hit a break. And speaking of Batman, this is the Batman that we picked, Christian Bale, which I was like, but Che made a lot of good points, and I agreed with him at the very end.
I think we've said this on the podcast before, but I guess might as well reiterate it now since we're talking about the performance.
It's fine. I
think there isn't a human being on planet Earth that could play Batman. I think Batman is a psychotic character that basically is inexplicable. What you need to find is a guy who can be a really, really good Bruce Wayne, and I still think Christian Bale is by far the best Bruce Wayne.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. The voice is stupid. Do not get me wrong. I think the Batman voice is dumb.
See, this is okay. So this is gonna be my stupid ass. Mm-hmm. I wish that Ben Affleck had more to work with. because I think I think the conversation could have been there if he had better films to work in as Batman, but we didn't get that. I mean, Christian Bale was the benefit of having 2.5 really good movies. I even like the third one. I think it gets a lot more flack.
I think the third one it's like the opposite of the Wolverine in comparison to Wolverine Origins. The Dark Knight is so beloved. Heath Ledger's performance is so beloved that kind of any follow-up, including I think a pretty good performance by Tom Hardy as Bale.
I think
was just never going to Bane. I don't know if it's Bale. was just
as
never
Bale,
going
he was
to
playing Christian Bale.
satisfy people. But I also watched Batman Begins in preparation for this movie, and obviously for a lot of reasons, and rightfully so, The Dark Knight has overshadowed Batman Begins, like in the history.
Batman Begins is one of the greatest comic book movies of all time.
And I think it's Bale's best performance too. I think that's why Bale was higher on my list. Only because I think Batman Begins is so fucking good and a challenging, like just a weird movie to make. He's like walking around caves for a lot of it. And like most of the movie, he's obviously not Batman because it's an origin story and he's like in boardrooms a lot of the time. It's like, and he's still so compelling. A lot of that is because I think whoever cast him as this was a big fan of American Psycho.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and that's like kind of like it's very like reading Year One too. It's just like he does have that energy, that like kind of he does have that Bruce Wayne energy, and it's his entire arc front to back was very believable.
Yeah.
Still wish Ben Affleck had much more to work with, but I think Christian Bale, at least you're right. I think he is the definitive Batman. For the time, we will see if he can be dethroned. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm playing Batman in 10 years, guys. When they do the next Batman's gonna be black, and it's gonna be me.
Do you think there will ever be like a time where we like holster the Batman character for a while? Like I can't see us getting another Iron Man anytime soon, maybe ever. But I think even if it goes well and Robert Pattinson bangs out like 3 movies and a Justice League movie, and then we're in like 2032 and Robert Pattinson's done with being the Batman, I still think we'll get a Batman like 2 years later.
We will. It makes fucking money. It makes no fucking. I mean, like what? Like last decade we had it was like Christian Bale, then we had Ben Affleck, and then we're gonna get Robert Pattinson. So probably by the end of this decade we'll probably have another Batman unless they space these ones out.
That's just so crazy to me.
It's just by like consistency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. Crazy, Che. All right, Chase, you want to get into the break?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and start our top 10.
This is Katana. She's got my back. She can cut all you in half with one sword stroke, just like mowing the lawn. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
Harley Quinn, nice to meet ya. Love your perfume. What is that? The stench of death? Koroska.
Whoa, easy, cowgirl. Ain't that kind of a mission. Have a seat.
She seems nice.
And we're back.
What's up?
Top 10. Top 10 comic performances of all time. Corey, number 10.
And I just want to state this right now, and I realize something, that this is for movies, like not TV shows. We're leaving those out. I want this to be stated for movies because I think this is our only person who's technically a voice actor in as a comic book character. And I would be remiss to say that Mark Hamill is very, very good as Joker.
Yeah.
But we're leaving him out for this. But it's Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. Weirdly amazing with this performance. To the point where I'm like, I don't actually recognize that it's Bradley Cooper. It could have been very easy. Could have came in and just used his normal voice, but like he's actually putting on a performance.
I think it's sneakily one of the hardest performances in the MCU. Like, obviously, he doesn't have to do like stand on the green screen set for 8 hours a day like Chris Hemsworth.
What are you talking about? He definitely is there in a green mocap.
I really hope he is. I mean, he isn't, but I hope he is.
It's James Gunn's brother who does that.
I know. Oh, that's right. I remember he's also one of the smugglers,
the
right?
Ravagers. Yeah. Ravagers. Yeah. I think he played Calendar Man in Suicide Squad, where he called Polka Dot Man a pussy. Nice.
But I just think this Rocket Raccoon in this, besides our number 2 at the moment, I think this is the most true to page adaptation. This is the Rocket Raccoon that I pictured in my head before the movies, and after the movies is impossible to shake when you're reading Raccoon.
Yeah, no, his voice is so good, and like there's like all of the emotions, and it's like it was so good to see like, oh, he's the one from the Guardians who's gonna survive into Endgame, because he's the best character from the Guardians movies.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think about that until we were compiling this. I'm like, oh no, he's like the best one from those movies. No disrespect to any of the other Guardians actors, but
I think it's honestly it's him, Dave Bautista.
Yes.
A pretty wide gap.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel.
Do we hate him now? Is that what we're doing?
Chris Pratt, you mean? I don't hate Chris Pratt. I
like him. I like him.
I think he's fine. I just think it's really funny to shit on white guys.
Yeah, it is funny. No, I don't know. I don't really think I have much else to say about him, but I think I'm like it was very awesome. Like, okay, cool. He's gonna be the one in the next movie because he's just a great character. It's
just I know Marvel gets a bad rap, and I think rightfully so sometimes for their like dependence on the quip and their inability to do anything really all that seriously, and not all the time. Obviously, there are some moments of Endgame and Spider-Man recently that are quite depressing and heartfelt, but they often use jokes as a crutch. In that being said, I think Rocket Raccoon is head and shoulders the funniest character in the MCU right now.
Absolutely.
And his interactions with Groot, I mean, I still don't really understand why they got Vin Diesel to do that. It's still so weird to me.
Because it's funny? Because it's just funny. That's
why.
Is it
funny? It's like a joke that nobody is in on. Like even Vin Diesel's not in on the joke. I don't get it.
I think it's funny. I think it was more like we liked you in Iron Giant when you said 4 things. Can you say 3 things?
Yeah, but that's pre Fast and Furious. Now there's like it's inexplicable why Vin Diesel is in this movie saying 3 words over and over again.
Hey, listen, he does it in every other language too, so that's fair. Yeah, still takes him a fucking afternoon.
Wait, Vin Diesel does his own dubbing?
Yeah. And
Yo Soy Groot is Vin Diesel?
I believe so.
that is actually funny. I retract my previous statement. That's fucking hilarious.
All right, number 9, Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. This is sad.
I still haven't been able to go back and rewatch Black Panther.
Yeah,
it's fucking. I mean, for a lot of reasons. The least significant part about Chadwick Boseman's career is that he was a great superhero. Some people lost their brother and father and son, and a lot of things are more important to the world after Chadwick Boseman's death than the fact that he won't be Black Panther anymore. But holy shit, does it suck that he won't be Black Panther anymore? He's so good. I think we had him lower on the list, and then I went back and rewatched Civil War. He's just
such a good.
I can't really imagine anybody else with the gravitas that he has to pull off this character.
It's a really fun moment when like you like have this build up for a character, because I know we both were a fan of the character. I mean, I think one of the first things we talked about in this podcast was Ta-Nehisi's coach's like
I think it might be Panther. Other than DC Rebirth, which was our first comic book we ever covered. I think it's number 2 on the comic books ever on the podcast.
So we've always been like a big fan of this character, and we were always very excited to see it like come to life. And as soon as he was on screen, I'm like, yep, no, this is perfect.
Yeah,
like it's perfect. No, I want the whole movie now. And it sucks that we're not going to be able to see that performance anymore. But
have they made a call one way or the other on recasting? I know there's been a lot of debates.
They strapped down. I can't remember the actress's name who plays his sister. They pretty much strapped her down and paid her a shit ton of money so she can get her vaccine, so she can actually be on set. So. People suck. I don't know.
What do you think about recast? Would you recast this character?
I think I don't know if it's too late now to do it. And I think I would recast. I don't think it takes away from Chadwick's performance whatsoever to recast as a character, because it definitely felt like that character had more room to grow, and at least like I was interested to see what the next steps were going to be.
He's clearly being set up in Endgame as the centerpiece of the MCU going forward. I mean, it's no accident that when the portals open,
he was the first one.
He's the first one to walk out. It's very much intentional.
Yeah, so it's first only black people come out because, you know, just putting that out there. It's him and then Falcon is going to put that out there. White men.
I think most of our audience is still white men, so we probably can't go too hard on them.
I'm joking.
But I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, I know it's impossible to separate the performance from the tragedy. I mean, even the first thing we said is how sad it was, but it is still just like a joyous experience. I remember when Black Panther came out and just being like so fucking excited to see this.
It was
movie.
A cultural phenomenon, and then like it was like very. It was especially cool for like us. I don't mean to speak for you, but like just like us doing this and then being already like fans of like this superhero thing, and then being like, oh, it's finally like a superhero of us is on screen.
Yeah.
And he just portrayed it with, I mean, he like his role, like he felt like his role. Like he brought that like kingly presence while also just being vulnerable and damn. But yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, he is. I mean, there won't ever be another one like him if they do decide to recast. Which I like I said, I'm on the fence about. I don't know. I think it would be impossible to watch a Black Panther movie with not Chadwick Boseman in it, and just especially not now. It's been what, 2 years? Not even.
It's gonna come out like a year or two after this.
Yeah,
like a year or two. I mean, I think they're shooting it now. I don't know what.
Well, I don't think you can do it for at this point. You can't do it for Black Panther 2. But I'm just saying, in the future, if they wanted to recast, I just don't know how I would be able to sit in the theater. But although we are going to get to a character who, and obviously the end of this character was not anywhere near as tragic, but I would have said I can't see anybody else playing him in the future, and he has been recast, and I am incredibly excited to see what's coming for that character. So it's not like, I don't think it's impossible, but I also think there is.
I'm sorry, who are you talking about?
I don't want to spoil the future of it.
Okay.
He's coming up. We'll cover it. But let's move on. Let's see if you have anything else to say about the late great Chadwick Boseman.
No, I don't think there's anything more than what we've already said.
Yeah. All right. Next up, number 8 is our boy and yours, Josh Brolin. And this is Josh Brolin as Thanos. And I actually, if it wasn't
not
just
Jonah
one
Hex.
movie, his performance as Cable could be a conversation. I think he's a great Cable.
He was very good as Cable. What are you talking about? Jonah Hex wasn't amazing? What are you talking about?
I actually haven't seen Jonah Hex in a really long time. It
was bad when we were kids. I can't imagine how bad it is now.
Yeah.
But
this is definitely not Jonah Hex. This is Thanos.
Yes.
Another one who had like a weirdly he's in, when does he first show up?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Yeah.
Well, like he cast as like Thanos. Guardians of the Galaxy was like his first like,
just
which was like kind of
sitting on a chair for 7 years.
It was like he was just chilling on a chair, and it was kind of just like, okay, like this is like fine, but like that's kind of a character. But his like that beginning scene of Infinity War, with his monologue, and like just like the way that Marvel was able to do like the facial expressions with like mocap and everything, and I mean I know he was on set the entire time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Thanos was it lived up to the hype. It lived up to him being like the big bad.
It's also sneakily one of the most important performances in the MCU. I mean, if that's not a great performance, if it goes wrong, the power that's felt in Infinity War and Endgame that really wraps up this 10-12 year television show in a lot of ways, this arc, is not there. I mean, if Josh Brolin's performance is not as good as it is, this is not an effective end to what is, the most successful movie franchise of all time. And I mean, you mentioned the opening scene of Infinity War. Him on Vormir with Gamora is still my favorite. I think my favorite performance in the MCU is his that Thanos scene where he's like,
every time someone's at those cliffs, they get a fucking banger scene.
Yeah.
And someone dies.
Well, I also just love her playing alongside him too. And again, Zoe Saldana was just missed the list, but her performance is great. But this, when she's like laughing at him and is like, "You don't love anybody," and then not Hugo Weaving says from the side he's not crying for himself. It's honest for a character who's like loathed at this point. It's heartbreaking. You're like, oh god. I mean,
yeah, it's like
disgusting.
that's,
He's gonna sacrifice his daughter, but also he's gonna sacrifice his daughter. Jesus.
like this motherfucker is like determined.
Yeah.
Like I was reading some like somebody was breaking down the script for Infinity War and like story structure and everything like that. And it's basically the Golden Fleece, which is like the character wants to get something. This is the protagonist wants to get something, and Thanos is the main character of Infinity War.
Yeah.
And like you don't really realize it until the very end. And he like when he like wins in the end, you're like, well, that guy like sucks. But I'm like, hey, at least he like worked his ass out to get it. And so
Thanos Road Return is still like perfection. It's still the best ending, like literal ending of a Marvel movie.
Just fucking
ever.
punching the fucking gut. I'm like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on. I mean, yeah, no, like, what's more to be said about Thanos? He was great. He's scary and he's giant. And he's purple. Just like Barney. All right, number 7. Wesley Snipes' Blade.
Another character that I mean, not quite as much as Ron Perlman especially now that Blade is back in the MCU, but I think a performance that people forget.
Yeah, it's one hand forget that it's just like a Marvel comic from the get go. But another really cool thing about Blade was like it was kind of a lesser known character, and then Wesley Snipes came in, and
he forced Marvel's hand. The same way that Robert Downey Jr. did, the same way that Chris Hemsworth did, like made these sort of forgotten Marvel characters, forced them to become A tier Marvel characters.
It's like exactly, and like you can like in the comics now, it still looks like Wesley Snipes. I love the fact that it's just like this is Blade, and I love Marshala, and I think it's going to be a very hard thing to like. I wonder how that's going to work, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic, but. It's like
this was the character that I was talking about. That if you had ever asked me, could anybody else besides Wesley Snipes play Blade, I would have said no, never. And then literally hearing Wesley Snipes' voice at the end of Eternals, Mahershala Ali's voice at the end of Eternals, I was like, oh shit,
yes, that
could be Blade.
Yes.
And I am incredibly excited for that movie, not just because I think it will save Kit Harington's career, which needs saving. Let's be honest.
It does. He was very charming in Eternals. All 4 minutes of it.
Still can't believe they did it should have just been a TV show. So annoying.
Eternals? Yeah, it should have been.
Yeah. But I mean, Wesley Snipes this is another one that if you guys haven't watched, not the third one, do not watch Blade Trinity.
Ignore Trinity.
But if you haven't watched the other two recently, go back. I mean, they're like so fun. The action sequences are great. Wesley Snipes. This is kind of the capper, the end, the peak of Wesley Snipes as most important action star for a while. Bill Simmons famously has like the action star belt that he's written about for a while, who's like the guy who holds the belt. And for a long time, it was Wesley Snipes. And now, of course, we forget because sort of by his own design, he destroyed his career tragically, but
Pay your taxes, kids.
Yeah, but I mean, he's back now. He's not making action movies anymore, obviously. But yeah, I think this. I mean, he's so good at everything that I want Blade to be. He's like dark and brooding. He looks great in all black and the glasses, and he will just deliver a ridiculous one-liner like it's nobody's business.
Jay, can you please say the best line of that movie franchise, please?
Motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
One day someone will explain that line to me.
I mean, the more I think about it, it's like, okay, I sort of get what he's trying to say. Like, people always try to make it hard for themselves, but
why aren't you, how does your brain go to?
I know. It's like the weirdest thing to say in this situation, especially because like there's no ice, there's no anything. He kills a vampire with some chemicals and then he says that.
I love Blade as a character because all of his one-liners are basically just to himself.
Yeah.
Because he is always alone after the murder. So it's just like, person dies, he's just like...
I had completely... Because Blade feels like such a solitary character, like you said, I forgot there's like sort of a love interest in the first movie. He's like saving that...
and it sucks.
I think I didn't rewatch Blade. I skimmed through it to grab some clips for today, but... I thought she was actually pretty good. I was kind of confused what happened to her because I don't think I've ever seen that actress again or since, like before or since that movie. And
Blade 2 is my personal favorite.
I think Blade 2 is the better of the two. Yeah. But
if I'm going back and like watching Blade again, I usually don't even watch the first Blade, but I think I should give it a rewatch.
Yeah, Blade's fun. Also, just because I think the action sequences in the first Blade are better. The performances and the like. I mean, it's Guillermo del Toro. Like the second one's del Toro, so it's obviously like a better made movie. But Blade 1 is just patently insane. There's a scene where a vampire throws a little girl through a food truck, and Blade has to save her. And after he saves her, he just goes, "Go home." It's fucking great. He's basically a villain masquerading as a hero, and he plays it perfectly.
I mean, even though he was like clearly checked out in the third one, the scenes that he's in are great. But the third one's
could
bad.
You blame him?
No, it's a really bad movie. But the shot of him like with his eyes open, the CGI eyes on top of his eyes, is fucking hilarious.
Has anybody had a like better career turnaround than Ryan Reynolds, who makes Blade Trinity? And I love Ryan Reynolds. He's the worst part of that movie.
Blade Trinity?
Yeah. His character's so annoying.
His character is Deadpool.
Yeah, but bad. It's the Deadpool from Wolverine Origins.
No, that one can't even talk.
Well, he talked at the beginning.
I mean, Blade Trinity is pretty much him just like being like, I can do funny and also be in shape, and get my ass kicked by Triple H for about 30 minutes.
And then they gave him the Green Lantern movie, where he met his wife. Right? They weren't married before that.
Oh yeah, Blake Lively was there. Yeah, no, he was married to Scarlett Johansson.
Ryan Reynolds.
Just
living the life. Honestly, just living the life.
Living in my life. I'm living in my head rent free. All right.
Number 6, the last before our top 5. It's
Captain America himself.
Yeah, it's America's ass.
It's America's ass.
It's Chris Evans.
Taking a character who I just thought it couldn't work, and make it like, because the thing about like Captain America is it's like he's too genuine that I felt like it was gonna be like it's gonna come across as corny or like annoying after a while. But like Chris Evans it's just a solid. It's like he just like portrays Steve as just being like just a solid guy.
Well, like if Magneto is Marvel's answer to the Joker, I think Captain America is obviously Marvel's answer to Superman. And in the same way, Superman and Captain America feel like they can be very boring characters, but in the right hands,
exactly.
That's exactly transcendent performances, right?
Exactly. Which I mean, that's what I think the problem so much is, like the problem with like the modern Man of Steel in general was that like you didn't let Superman you didn't show him being a good person.
Yeah.
But like Captain America's like build up through the movies, which is showing him being a very like selfless, good person the entire time. And when he did something wrong, it felt like you kind of felt it through the movie. I mean, like Civil War at the very end, which I feel like was the only thing I could really mark to be like, this was like his one bad thing that he did as a character morally. And even then it was like done out of a place of not like, a good place. I don't know. But I don't know. It's just like he really did feel like Captain America to me. And
it's also, I think he also grows into the character. I mean, I love moments of the first Avengers. Obviously, still like the grenade dive scene is still one of my favorite.
Now that's a movie that has a really mediocre middle.
Yeah. And
I think it had a pretty solid beginning and end.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I think the grenade, like they did such a good job being like, this is this character. Like here's why you're rooting for him. Like him getting his ass kicked by bullies, and then the grenade scene, and then it made so much sense in this like great scene with Stanley Tucci. Which, oh man, I get why he had to die, but it's like, oh come on, man. Like,
I don't understand how anyone is still making the mistake of killing off Stanley Tucci from your film series. Like,
I want him to stop.
Stanley Tucci should be in all movies. Stop. Like you had him, just keep him around. So put him in a time capsule with Cap, freeze them both, thaw them out together. It seems like an easy win-win to me, but maybe we just don't see the big picture.
And I think another thing too, he definitely like one of the benefits of when he got into the Winter Soldier was like also playing this now like kind of a sad character where like everybody he knew and loved is now dead.
Well, remember Sad Beard Captain America?
I loved Beard
Captain Sadbeard.
I liked Sadbeard Captain America.
Oh, I'm a big fan, but I mean,
yeah, no,
he's fucking Sadbeard.
His show up in Infinity War is still like just like there's that man over there standing menacingly, and it's like, oh, It's no
It's
shield,
it's
but,
the one and only time that I like was not annoyed by an applause. I mean, I didn't participate. To be very clear, I did not participate in the applause, but I was like, yeah, this was pretty sick. I love seeing.
Infinity War had two of those moments to me. I think it was that scene and when Thor's like showing up in Wakanda, and I think those are like the two like, okay, this is fine to be. It was awesome.
Hey, listen, I said it was awesome. My problem with clapping is not when things are not awesome. It's that you're clapping for people that cannot fucking hear you.
It's people. It's not. I don't know. At least for me, it's not like I'm necessarily being like, good job, you film. It's more like I get caught up in the moment, and
Listen,
I like fun.
As we all know, I'm annoyed by weird things. Like I'm annoyed by the fact that all plays end in standing ovations now. It's like it doesn't mean anything anymore. You stood for all the plays now.
That's why I hate seeing reports from cons where it's just like this movie got like a 10-minute standing ovation. I'm like, okay, I don't know what the fuck that means anymore. It must be like, oh, they were there for an hour just clapping. It is the greatest film of all time.
It's my favorite is like something is in the air at film conventions. Like my favorite story of all time is that The Equalizer was like a smash hit at Cannes, and I was like, oh, so this movie's gonna be like incredible. It was either Cannes or Sundance or some movie festival. They like people were losing their mind for The Equalizer, and The Equalizer is fun.
It's fun,
but I'm like, I watched it and I was like, who clapped for this movie? I want to find these French assholes and beat them down.
I will say this: I don't remember the last time I actually like full on like clapped for a movie once it was over.
No, because
I will say that
there's no reason to clap for a movie.
I did get caught up a bit in like No Way Home a couple times, just to be blatant, just to put my cards on the table. Just saying that. But we have top 5 to go. Check. Should we go into a quick break?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and give you guys the 5 best comic book movie performances of all time.
All time.
Go ahead and tweet us what you guys think is coming up. Because that's how the internet works.
That's how it works. Also, if we did anything and we left anybody that you loved off, tweet at us, and I can tell you why you're wrong. Cool? Fight me on the internet.
Big talk from a guy who forgot Tom Hiddleston existed.
I also don't have the password for the next time on email, on the next time on Twitter.
That's not true.
I do.
All right, we're taking a quick break, and we're going to come back.
Forgetting about Tom Hiddleston isn't that bad.
Dr. Banner, now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
And we're back.
What's up?
All right, guys, it's time. It's time for the top 5. First up, this is the first. I was going to say first but not last, but it is the last. It's the first appearance of a double character on our list.
Yes.
And this is Ian McKellen's portrayal of Magneto. Sir Ian McKellen. My apologies. My apologies.
Yes. And I think we're allowed to cheat with this one because they're playing the same character at different points in
their lives. No, I think this is just performance. It's not like
exactly.
I think we could have had. Well, we don't. We could have had 2 Spider-Mans in this list. We could have had 2 Professor X's. I mean, I think it's not like best version of that character. I don't think that's. Especially because I think they're also playing two different characters, even though they are both Magneto. But as we said, like the version of Magneto that Fassbender is playing that then becomes Ian McKellen in the future is a different character, and that's the point. Is you see this development as it goes on. But yeah, Ian McKellen's such a good fucking villain.
Yeah, I mean he's amazing at everything that he does, but I think it was the first time as a kid where I'm like, I think I agree with that guy. I know he's not doing things on the up and up. That's very clear. But like the motivation was like everybody just should be a mutant in the first movie. I'm like, this kind of does make sense. Like, I don't know, maybe not killing Rogue, but I mean honestly, who really gave a shit about Anna Paquin's robe? That's like that should go on like the not list. Like that's one of the top 15 worst performances.
That'll be our 300 special.
I'm so mad about Rogue. I'm just mad about the entirety of like what happened there. Sorry.
The thing is, there are people who still think that's what Rogue is like.
It sucks. It sucks so much. She's like the opposite of Rogue. Like it's just no fun.
Yeah. They basically only took the dumb part of Rogue's power too. They didn't. It's not even like the character is dumb. They took they ruined her powers. It's so weird.
Yeah,
such a
they
weird
didn't
decision.
even. Well, the problem is they didn't even like the problem with. Or the thing that they could do, what I'm hoping they're kind of going to do with Rogue whenever they do come back around with the mutants, is have her show up in Captain Marvel. Because that was the reason that she can fly and shit, because she absorbed her powers.
Yeah.
And then famously she went and put her into a coma.
I keep thinking,
Not
like,
great.
every time there's a new Marvel thing at this point, I'm like, will this be the thing that introduces the X-Men? Will it be this one? I even thought for a second Loki might with the time space continuum fuckery.
I mean, listen, we're about to get some more multiverse fuckery in this upcoming in like next.
Imagine if
months,
also in No Way Home, like the X-Men walked out of a fucking portal too. It's like this movie's doing too much at this point.
They did just enough for it not to be annoying.
Yeah. No.
It
No Way Home's great. No Way Home's fucking. Don't
Home
get
was
me
very
wrong. I
good.
love that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, as you said, like Ian McKellen, a legendary actor for a lot of reasons. I desperately, like me personally, but I'm sure Ian McKellen himself, I desperately need him to make another movie before, time catches up with him. Because
Hey, come on, man.
I let's just want to be
Jay,
realistic. But he can't.
come
His
on.
last performance cannot be Cats. I cannot have his last performance be Cats. It can't.
I forgot that it was Cats.
He's in fucking Cats, Corey.
I cannot believe you watch Cats.
Corey, I went to the movie theater to watch Cats.
I
And
can't
honestly, I don't
believe-
regret it even for a second. It was such a fun movie experience. The movie was so fucking crazy. Jason Derulo.
How many people were in the movie?
What do you mean? It was
theater with
me
you?
and the friend I came with. Nobody went to go
Oh,
see Cats.
You had a friend who went with you? I would punch you in the face. Be like, hey.
He
if
knew
you-
he
if
was
we
getting
got-
it too. He knew what he was
Oh,
getting
well, that
into.
person's a better person than I am. God. Okay, number 4.
We're not talking about Ian McKellen at all. I got things to say about McKellen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, you're good. I did start talking about Cats. So it's
You did.
fair.
No, I mean, like, I think like what we were saying about Fassbender very much like applies to McKellen in the same sense, where they're playing this character who's just had one of the roughest goes of anybody in the history of ever, and he's so eloquent with his speech in it, and like when he's like passing along these basically he's like his sermons in a sense to this cult that he leads, and he does such a good job with it. And like it's funny, like going back and like reading like old X-Men comics where they were used to be very like long-winded, and like it would be like a good like paragraph of like their exposition or like just random like monologuing.
Yeah.
And it's just McKellen's like just slow like presence and like the sadness behind his character that is just like him being. And it's funny, I mean, like it's as he's like, to me, he like disappears into the role so much. I didn't realize that he was also Gandalf for a very long part of my life that I will not reveal onto the podcast on how long that was, to the point where I'm like, holy fuck, that's.
Well, I also I guess since we're both telling on ourselves, I thought for a long time that he was Richard Harris in the Harry Potter movies. I thought for a while I didn't know his name. Obviously, I wasn't like Ian McKellen. I was like, the guy that plays Gandalf is the guy that also plays Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Obviously not the case, but
They do look very similar.
yeah. Yeah, it's true.
That's
But
very fair.
I just think these first, and we talked about a lot how the first two X-Men movies are fantastic in a lot of ways, aging poorly, whatever, doesn't know how you feel about it, but they were amazing at the time, and I think a lot of that, if not almost entirely all of that, is because of how good McKellen is. He is both such a sympathetic character, as you said. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt his stance that basically at every turn the movie agrees with him. It's like every time Ian McKellen says the humans will do something awful, and Patrick Stewart's like, no, we have to trust them. Then the humans do something awful.
And it's also like, I mean, going back and watching now, I'm like, no, I believe this is this all tracks.
Yeah.
This tracks.
Yeah.
Humanity is fucking dumb.
It's also
Dumb.
the fact that that he looks like he does. And I think at that point he was in his late 60s, early 70s. And he can be as intimidating as he. I still remember, and I haven't really gone back and watched this movie in quite a long time. I remember the train scene where Wolverine freezes because he's being like stopped by Magneto, and like feeling like genuine terror. I was like, what's going to happen? This guy who is technically indestructible is suddenly powerless because this old man has showed up. It's
also
it's
it's a very it's a really cool choice, I think, with the first X-Men movie, where it's like your main character is this like badass like claw man who's just angry and can't die, and the villain is just this old man who literally is like his kryptonite.
Right, and like you have Hugh Jackman shirt off running around in the snow slashing people's necks, and then you just have Ian McKellen neuter him with a wave of the hand. It's like it's such a perfect dichotomy, and he
does it so many times.
Yeah,
like just like Wolverine just gets tossed around by Magneto.
What the fuck's he gonna do? Take his bones out?
That's very true.
It's a wrap for my guy.
That's happened once in the comics though. Yeah. It was fucked up. All right, number 4. This is like I couldn't imagine we would make this list without Heath Ledger.
No, I mean there isn't you can't talk about comic books without talking about Heath Ledger's Joker. I think that's fair.
I mean, I think he's the only one on this list who did one movie, and the one movie was just like define the role forever. And I mean, shit, he was.
It's not just its position on this list will be a little bit confusing to people. Obviously, if we were just talking about like best individual performance, I think the fact that it's at number 4 is one because it was tragically just one movie, and because he's not. I mean, despite the fact that the Joker like just like takes every moment he's on screen and like shakes the audience, he's not really like in a lot of screen time even. But it's not just one of the best, if not the best performance in a comic book movie ever. It's one of the best performances, period. I think if we're just talking straight up villains in a movie, for me, it's Heath Ledger's Joker. And then I guess Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. And
that's a good. I think that's those are.
And I don't really even like. I haven't really sat down and thought about it in a while, but I don't really know who else is in the conversation. And that's saying something.
Yeah, like you don't want to be in a fucking alley with these motherfuckers. No. And like the good thing about Joker too is like, what's his motivation? There is none. He's just fucking crazy, and I just like that's.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's a very good. We talked about it in comparison to Magneto, right? Who has a formed backstory that you sort of associate with and you believe and you kind of are on board with in a weird way until he gets too over the top, but you can never connect to the Joker intentionally show because there is nothing to connect with. It's
just
even everything he tells you about himself is a lie because he changes the story every second. It's like, yeah, I mean, this is a performance that's been dissected ad nauseum. He's another character that, I mean, we were talking about, of course, what happens with Chadwick Boseman and the Black Panther. I mean, but obviously, tragically after Heath Ledger's death, we've had 2 Jokers since. One of them is.
Wait, what? Who's the other one?
Is this a meme, or you have forgotten that there were been 2 Jokers?
Who was the other Joker?
There's like the Joker movie, and then the Suicide Squad movie. I can't tell if you're doing a bit. This is a bit.
No, that was. I just honestly forgot about.
You forgot Joaquin Phoenix was the Joker for a minute.
I forgot about Joaquin Phoenix played the Joker. I don't. It doesn't feel like the comic book Joker.
No, it's not. It's not related at all. It's not even really similar.
I never really even like in my mind. It's like no. It's just like the movie's just about this crazy motherfucker who puts some clown makeup on, and shoots Robert De Niro on a talk show.
Well, it's Taxi Driver. They made Taxi Driver.
And
added a dance number for some reason.
And then the Joker was pretty much the reason that Batman's parents died. Because no matter what, we get to see Batman's parents die.
I honestly forgot about that. I forgot they killed Batman's parents in the Joker movie for some reason.
It was weird for no fucking reason. Oh man.
Remember when he puts his fingers in Bruce Wayne's mouth?
Yeah, what the fuck? That's still terrifying. Like
honestly, of all of the Joker performances, there have been a lot before and after Heath Ledger. That's the creepiest thing that any Joker has ever done on screen.
Honestly.
It haunts my fucking nightmares. He stuck his fingers in a little kid's mouth.
It's like, well, Jay, he's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. He is fucking crazy.
But no,
can't argue with
that did suck. Okay, number 3, the best Spider-Man, Tom Holland. We refuse to even argue with you fools.
I would love to have somebody on this podcast that genuinely believes there is another answer to who is the best Spider-Man.
Please. I want you to
because obviously Corey and I are in agreement, so it's not going to be a very interesting discussion.
No, we would just tear you down. No, yeah, like this is come on our podcast, fight us, and then lose.
And I'm not like against. I mean, I am a little bit against Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but
I like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I don't have like a problem with Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but if you've ever actually seen any of the Tom Holland movies, to think even for a second that they're in the same conversation is, I think, crazy to me.
I mean, like, this is kind of the same thing with Civil War, with, like, we saw Chadwick Boseman first. I'm like, oh, that's him. And then Peter Parker opens his mouth for, like, 2 minutes, and I'm like, this kid's perfect.
From the scene where we meet him and he is coming home and he's like dumpster diving for like VCRs and stuff, and I just also love. I mean, that scene is still great because we have hot Aunt May, which is my favorite addition to the MCU.
I didn't even know Marissa Tomei was in the movie. Like, that's Aunt May. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Why is that Aunt May? This is silly. This is a silly time.
I also just love, because obviously, true to life, anybody who sees Marissa Tomei wants to
like Tony Stark, who's in a relationship, is very much like, oh wait, no, I think they were broken up. I think they were split up maybe so Tony could be like hit on Aunt May, honestly. I don't think there's another reason. Maybe he was just like, saying he was in a bad place, I guess.
Well,
but
it's quite literally every man who encounters Marissa Tomei in the MCU in her unfortunately short stint in it is trying to have sex with her. It's like a little wild.
It's crazy. But I mean, we've already talked about why Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man.
Yeah, this was a conversation we had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think he definitely, true to form, definitely third place, and I think that's a very well earned. And I'm so excited that we're going to keep on getting more of his performance.
Well, I also think that it's not just, and this is the same thing with like what I was saying, who makes a good Batman versus who makes a good Bruce Wayne. The reason that Tom Holland is such a perfect Spider-Man is because he is the perfect Peter Parker. And there isn't really like, we make a lot of jokes about perpetual old-face Tobey Maguire, but like,
yes,
there isn't. This is what I imagined when I thought,
especially him as like a teenager. Like now he's very dorky. He's like, it's like smart, but he doesn't rub it in your face.
Yeah.
And he's funny when he's actually Spider-Man. Like, I didn't know Spider-Man was supposed to be funny watching the Tobey Maguire ones.
They try with Andrew Garfield, and I do love Andrew Garfield, but
Andrew Garfield's best performance as Spider-Man wasn't until very recent.
I still ride for Amazing Spider-Man 1. I
haven't watched the Amazing Spider-Man.
But
I will rewatch Amazing Spider-Man 1, but yes. But okay. Final two. I mean, you guys probably can guess which one, but
if you're looking at this list, I guess number 1 and number 2. Is there anybody on this list is there anybody that's not on this list that you think somebody might guess it should be here?
No, no, I don't think so. I can't think of anybody else that we might have.
I mean, I'm sure. Listen, genuinely. I mean, I know we both talk about how much we hate Twitter. Please tweet us. Let us know if there's somebody we missed.
Yes, please.
But I think these are kind of the definitive 1 and 2, and starting with our number 2, it is the one, the only, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yes, a man who willed this movie into existence. And then just committed so hard to it, and it's funny. Like he does like because sometimes you'll see like the actor will like change the comic books, like the character in the comic books, but it was more that Ryan just stayed so true to the comic book aspect of it, that it was just perfect. And I mean, also the comic book did like 10 years beforehand. It was like, yeah, we should pick Ryan Reynolds to do it. So it was a very much like a full circle of like. This was meant to be kind of situation. Yeah. But no, I can't. He's amazing. I mean, I love him as Deadpool. I feel like Deadpool 2 feels like it was like 20 years ago. And I just kind of want to get that character back again.
Well, I'm still, despite the fact that they've said all the right things, I remain worried that.
Me too.
Deadpool is going to look very different now that it's in the MCU, a company owned by Disney.
Yes.
Disney not famous for loving dick jokes and brutal violence. The two things that really make Deadpool 1 and 2 so great.
Can we move Deadpool? Can we like do like a kind of like put them on loan to HBO so they can just do whatever the fuck they want with it?
God, like, imagine an HBO Deadpool series. Although unfortunately, Ryan Reynolds has said he's taking a hiatus from acting, so we wouldn't be able to get him for that.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, he's just so. It's as evidenced by the fact that they tried so many times to get Ryan Reynolds to be a superhero. He's kind of the perfect guy to play a superhero. I don't think any of the failures before Deadpool were his fault.
He would have been a damn good Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to do like a Spider-Man.
I don't think.
But I think he's
Spider-Man
better
can
as
be Canadian
Deadpool.
Legally, I don't think he can be.
Well, I mean, Tom Holland's British.
Yeah, but the Brits have figured out some sort of weird magic spell where they get to play all of the people.
See, two out of the 3 Spider-Man are British, and those are the 2 better ones.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Actually, looking at our list, what percentage of people are English? Just. Oh, it's just 2. I thought it was gonna be way higher. There's a couple more non-Americans.
3. Well, I mean, Fassbender's Irish, German, and Margot's Australian, and so is Hugh.
Yeah, we've got 2 Australians.
2 Australians. Good for us.
Good for us. Why us?
I don't know, man. Shit, they're fucking Prison Island. I don't fucking know.
Actually, did you know? I'm gonna
No.
you know you on this podcast. More prisoners were sent to America from the UK than Australia. We are actually the prison island, which honestly explains everything about America.
It's been bad from the get-go. It's all bad.
It's all bad.
Always has been. But our final number 1.
Couldn't really be
Best-
anybody else, could it?
Yeah, you guys.
I do think there's a discussion in my head between number 1 and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, I think there's back and forth. Honestly, I don't really think there's like one stands above the other. It's just we had to put one over the other one, and
I think the thing that keeps number 1, who is of course Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, the thing that keeps him ahead of Ryan Reynolds for me is how important he was to the MCU ultimately. I forgot until sort of going back and like doing the research for this podcast and rewatching a couple movies, skimming through some stuff to find clips, how much he's just in every movie for a while. It's like,
it's like every year he was at least in one movie. It was crazy. It's like him
and even if it wasn't like an Iron Man or an Avenger movie, he would just show up in a scene and he would be the guy who like held everything together for a while.
It's like people always were like, oh, it's like Iron Man Jr. with the first, like the Spider-Man Homecoming. He's only in the movie for like 5 minutes. He's not in the movie for long. Yeah. He's in like 2 scenes.
It's a scene with him, like, isn't he like in Bali at like a business meeting?
Yeah. Oh, that's like, okay, 3 meetings. Like, yes, he's like on the phone with Spider-Man.
Great dickhead scene from. I mean, and again, this is just. Although I don't think Iron Man and Tony Stark are as separate characters in the same way that Spider-Man and Peter Parker or Batman and Bruce Wayne are, because it's not a secret identity. Iron Man is Tony Stark, but I think the way you have to cast a character like this is you have to find a Tony Stark and then go from there. And is there anybody who screams more billionaire playboy than Robert Downey Jr., aka I ruined half of my career being a millionaire playboy, basically? Like, he's kind of playing himself, so it's a little bit of a cheat code, honestly.
And then the character pulls head out of his ass. He gets in a good relationship, and everything kind of works out for him in the end.
Yeah.
And then
I do remain a little worried about the future of RDJ's career, I have to say.
You know what? But the truth with it is, though, it does not matter to him.
No, I think he doesn't give a fuck.
He is so fucking rich because of the Marvel Universe. His wife is a very good agent.
I think he would love some, like, critical acclaim, and not just from guys like us who obviously, as you guys are, I mean, only our opinion matters, obviously, but they won't let us hand out any trophies for some reason. But I think that he is still in search of, and obviously the one thing that he did during the MCU was that movie The Judge, which I think he thought was going to be like a critical hit, but obviously it wasn't.
He also did Due Date, but that's a comedy.
I forgot Due Date. Wow, that was like the peak of Zach Galifianakis fame.
Yeah. He's fine.
Is that movie terrible? I think it's probably terrible, right?
No, it's good. It's good.
Oh, okay.
I watched it recently. It holds up.
I still remember that scene where Jamie Foxx drinks his dad.
That was fucked up.
He said, get the fuck out of my house.
Get the fuck out of my house. And it's just...
but I mean, Robert Downey Jr., I mean, how much more can you say about him? I think he's...
he needed to leave, but it still sucks that he's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah. I kind of don't know if I believe he needed to leave. I think he obviously needed to take a step back. I think the problem is it would have been very difficult to be like, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in 15 minutes of every movie from the rest of the time instead of like...
Well, I mean, like, needed... I feel like there had to have been, like... I feel like he didn't want to do it forever. I don't think anybody wants to do it forever, but there needed to be, like, a stop point, and I think that was the best send off I felt like they could.
Oh, as I've said, I
character.
think it's the best ending to any superhero character that we've gotten yet.
Yeah.
I think that scene, just the ending scene, but just that story arc in general, you finally see that he's content with his life after all these years of turmoil. And then,
he was able to like reconcile the one thing he beat himself, not the one thing, but like finding out that Peter comes back to life was just a great scene. Just like him hugging Peter was like, that was just, even though Peter has like no idea what the fuck just happened, but like, you know, it's a kind of amazing emotional performance. And I think people forget, I don't know if people forget. I think he's often not talked about in the same class of like, you know, like like Denzel's, like the like Javier Bardem's and Joaquin Phoenix's, like those kind of guys who are considered elite actors in his generation, because he spent the last, you know, decade plus making superhero movies. But his performances in those movies are often, I mean, he's playing an incredibly complex character. I mean, I think Civil War is probably one of my favorite like performances.
Yeah.
And the very end, where it's just like, most of it is just like, we'll just see his like face shots when he's in the armor, but like just the voice and just all of that was just yeah. His
struggles with PTSD after Avengers, after the events in New York, as they call it, is a great performance arc. I mean, I hope one day we get like maybe a little bit of taste of him back in the MCU. I also just hope that he makes more movies that aren't Doolittle. I want to see Robert Downey Jr.'s career flourish in the same way that I want to see, you know.
Did you actually watch Doolittle?
Yeah, Corey, I watch everything. I'm a fucking crazy
my God.
person. It wasn't good. I knew it wasn't going to be good when I watched it, but I watched it because there's something seriously wrong with me on the inside.
I know.
What can I say? But this is the 15. We'll run them down really quick. Unless you have something else to say about RDJ.
No, I do not. I do not. Let's run through this.
All right. So starting at number 15, we've got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Michael Fassbender as Magneto, Ron Perlman, Hellboy, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Christian Bale as the Batman. I don't know why I said the like that. Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon, Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, Josh Brolin's Thanos, Wesley Snipes as Blade, Chris Evans as Captain America, Ian McKellen's Magneto, Heath Ledger as the Joker, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and finally, last but not least, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
I think that's a good list. I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
I think we did a great job. Good job. Good job, us.
Good job, us. Okay. As we said, this is the episode 250 special. We've been doing this for a very long time. For those of you that stuck with us from the beginning, much love and respect. Thank you very much. For those of you that are new, just found us or found us recently,
stumbled upon us.
Thank you guys for sticking around too. I mean, it's not as like nobody thinks that we're fucking Joe Rogan out here. It's not the biggest podcast, but I think we both love doing this shit. It's so fun.
I mean, do vaccines. Vaccines good. What's the opposite of Joe Rogan? Just don't say stupid shit.
I think actually we are the opposite of Joe Rogan now that I think about it. I don't know. It's just been sort of cathartic. Especially these last 2 years, which have been fucking miserable.
It's been very fun to be able to make this project, this long project that at this point we just do it now because we love it. And I hope the people who listen to this, I hope you guys do find enjoyment out of this thing. That really does. It means a lot to us, and thank you for enjoying our stuff.
If all that being said, it would also be great if you go rate us 5 stars.
It would be great. Yes, it would be very awesome for you to share our content so other people can see our stuff. Share us, subscribe to us, leave us 5 stars, check us out on YouTube, go to our website nextimon.net, follow us on Twitter, all that shit.
All that good stuff. Anything else for the people, Corey, before we let them go?
Nope, I'm good, man.
All right, well, I've been Che.
I've been Corey.
We'll see you guys in 251.
Jesus Christ. Bye.